Okay, so thanks everyone for jumping online and buying some Perch Palm Hellions. This is the first release of these baits that we've ever done. Overwhelming response, we're super stoked. We really can't believe how quickly they sold and how many people out there were just waiting to get their hands on them. What we're going to do now is show you how to rig them on a simple Jighead rig with some stinger hooks. So I'll run you through what I've got here ready to go. We've got the 250 Hellion and the 150. The 200's basically the same as this, so I'm sure you'll be able to work it out. But on the 250, I'm going to be running a 10-0 TT swim locks in a 3/4 ounce. Can run up to about an ounce on those depending on how deep you want to go, and also throw a chin lock on the 3/4 ounce if you want that little bit of extra weight. Doesn't really matter. I find the 3/4 ounce works pretty well, right down to 6 to 10 meters. Fish them slow anyway, so that's all good. We've got a double treble stinger hook here. I'm using Owner ST66s on a fairly heavy 60-pound wire trace with some crimps and some little prongs here to stick them into the bait. And for the 150, I've got a nitro saltwater special in a 1/2 ounce 5/0, and I've actually gone and cut with a pair of wire cutters the head where the keeper is, and slid that back on the hook a little bit. And what that does is it just stops the mouth of the bait from tearing as badly after a few fish. If that's impregnated back into the bait of the fish, there's only a very small amount of tear on the mouth there. And on the treble side of things, we've got a fairly heavy gauge. I think it's like a 2.0 in a Savage Gear chemically sharpened treble with a little bit of 50-pound wire stung together with a few crimps, and I've actually got just this little bit of a treble hook cut into, basically cut the prongs off the treble and use that to impregnate into the bait to hold it there. I do have some more of these little clip things coming, but they're still taking their time to get here with all the COVID stuff. So you can make your own just by getting an old treble, cutting off the prongs and sticking it on a split ring there, and then you can sort of just stab that into the belly of the bait and it will pull out when a fish bites it, which is good. It frees the bait from the fish's mouth. Unless of course you hook them on the jig head, but that's not a bad hookup either. That's a secure hookup, and you've got direct connection to that fish. Alright, so I've also got a pair of split ring pliers here, which is good to attach your hooks. You don't want the hooks on the jig head when you're trying to actually rig up the baits, because you're going to end up with one in your finger. And we'll get started on the 150. I'll just move the 250 out of the way here. Alright, we'll start with the 150. You can see there I've got the jig head, the keeper's been pushed back on the hook right back to about halfway. I've actually glued that down with some super glue so that it can't move up and down. And we want to start lining our bait up. And what we want to do is we don't want to push that jig head all the way to the nose of the bait. You want to sit it just a little bit in front, just to keep it from being squished and bending out of shape if you push it too far in. So line it up so that you've got a little bit of space, a few millimeters at the front of the hook there, and you want that hook to be running almost parallel with that lateral line of the bait there, and that's going to allow it to go nice and straight down the body of the bait and not bend and kink. So what I like to do is I like to just hold the jig head along to the side of the cheek of the fish, the bait, and try to work out exactly where that hook point's going to come out. And funnily enough, one of the little air vent holes on the back of the bait there is where the hook should be coming out of anyway. So that's nice and handy for marking where that hook should really be coming out if it's nice and straight. And then we're just going to turn the bait over, flatten our hands like this, and find the direct center point of that bait around the mouth, and just push it in. You're just going to feed it up nice and straight. You want to keep that tip of the hook in the bait following the nice straight line of the lateral line until you get the tip of the hook to about where it needs to come out in the back of the bait. So we're just going to feed it around, and we're almost there. We're just going to poke that hook out the top, right in the middle. Just grab the nose of the bait. Push it straight on like that. You can just grab the nose of the bait a bit, move it around so that it sits nice and flush, and there you have it. It's nice and straight on the hook there. It's pretty easy. You want to get it really straight. You want to get that line of the hook to be right through the body of the bait there. And that's pretty much it. That's how easy it is. I know everyone knows how to rig a jig head, but sometimes these bigger baits can be a little bit harder to do. But that's pretty much it. It's not going to run sideways or anything if it's rigged like that. It's going to run nice and straight. And then we just get our little treble. You want to make sure that when you're rigging it, the little keeper that you've got is actually facing upwards. So we want to grab the split ring like this and just put it on the way it lays flat. Got it on there now. Just going to use the split ring pliers to roll that split ring around all the way over, like so. Flip our treble hook up and find where the little keeper needs to go into the belly, which is normally just behind the fins, and you want to actually pull it a little bit tight and face it backwards, back towards the belly of the fish, just so it grabs it a little bit more firmly. And there you have it. That's the 150 rigged and ready to go. Easy as that. Now you'll notice that the jig head's sitting just in front of the nose there. It's not squished up or anything like that. It's just sitting nice and flat against the nose of the bait, and that's why it's important to sort of measure it out and get your hook point to come out in the exact same spot. If you do get it a little bit too far, don't be scared to sort of work it back around the hook. Give yourself a little bit more space by pulling the hook point back a little bit and then re-threading it back through. Just make sure you keep it nice and straight down the spine of the fish, down the spine of the back of the fish, and nice and straight in the body so that it's not kinking upwards like this. You don't want that sort of a kink. You want to keep it nice and flat, nice and flush, and it'll run straight and true every time. And that's it. That's a killer flathead, even cod, jewfish, pretty much anything. Barra, it's going to be a deadly rig on the barra, I'm sure. Hopefully you guys can nail that one. It's pretty easy. Same principle with the 250. What we want to do is measure out our jig head. Make sure we give ourselves a little bit of room so it's not snug up against the nose of the bait, just sitting forward a little bit. And I can see, I'll just use my finger to mark the point. Just gonna give it a little kick so that I can see where that hook point needs to come out. Same thing again, just find that little hook point spot. Yep, that's it there. You won't be able to see it, but I can. And we're just going to find the center of the nose of the bait, about halfway down, and then we're just going to feed that hook right around, keeping that nose firm. These ones are a fair bit more plastic, so you've got to be a bit firmer with them. But basically, if you keep it nice and low and that hook point down nice and flat, it should just roll itself around the hook and come out exactly in that spot that we marked. It's right in the middle there, so we're just going to push it right up over the keeper. That hook point comes out nice and straight. Just want to get the nose of the bait and come up over the top of the keeper like that. Easy as. It's not hard. You just want to keep working it until it gets to a nice straight and flat point with that jig head. Laying flat on the table there like that, you can see that the hook's going straight in, coming straight out the back, nice and flat. Plenty of hook exposure there. And hasn't bent or kinked or anything like that along the way. So we've done it pretty well there. Now it's time to attach our trebles. So this one is a double treble rig. Got a little swivel, heavy duty swivel on the front here. And what that does is when a fish pulls this hook away and spins and twists and stuff, it's not going to tangle up and twist up your line. So simple as, we're just going to grab pliers, knock it onto our jig head here. Make sure we line up our hooks nice and evenly. Don't want them pulling the bait kinked. So we've got one just in here. There's actually a hook there, so we're just going to push it backwards a little bit like that. Then number two, as I said, just to keep it nice and straight, you just want to pull a little bit of tension on it while you push it into the bait. So that it lays a little bit loose when you let it go. And that's basically it. Just push them right in there. These ones stay in nice and firm compared to the little DIY trebles. But that's it. That thing ain't gonna miss, I tell you that. That's a deadly, deadly rig right there. So you can see it a little bit closer. Running pretty much bang in the middle. Millimeter or two off isn't gonna hurt you, but you wanna try and keep it as straight as you possibly can. And then with your trebles, you want to make sure that they're not pulling or kinking along the bait at all. Little bit of flexibility in here is not going to hurt, but yeah, when a fish pulls on that treble, it's going to rip it out, pull the hooks away from the bait, and keep your bait nice and safe. And I think that pretty much covers it. I hope that helps. Yet again, it's probably going to be a little bit of a slower occurrence for most of you. Just take your time and make sure you don't go too far without assessing where you've got to and making sure everything's nice and straight, and you shouldn't have any drama whatsoever, I reckon. If you need any help, feel free to give us a yell. More than happy to run you through it, give you some tips if this hasn't helped at all. Hopefully it has, but there you go. We've got the 150 and the 250 rigged up, ready to go. Cheers guys, see you later.